Hello and welcome back to my channel. This is our Year to Shine and another discussion about the book we're talking about now, Louise Hay and Cheryl Richardson's book, You Can Create an Exceptional Life. And I realized after I was watching back on the last video, I called the chapter the wrong thing. And for last time. So last time we were talking about the morning, right? And it was supposed to be how you start your day is how you live your day, which leads to tonight's talk, which is how you live your day is how you live your life. So I think I said that how you start your day is how you live your life. So I kind of combined the two. This is such a long chapter that I'm just going to do a part of it, and then I'll do another video about the rest of it. And I think I'm going to start today with the wisdom card pull. Let's see what we've gotten. We've gotten a bunch of good ones so far. I love the artwork on these too. All right, let's see. What is the affirmation of the day? I am a harmonious being. And it says, I am in harmony with all of the people, places, and things that surround me in this world. I am at peace. That's a great one. The artwork is fun on these. All right, so be thinking about that one. So we talked about how to start your day. So what about the way that you are living just in general? As I was reading this chapter, how you live your day is how you live your life, I was thinking of so many topics that we talked about last year during our Simple Abundance year with Sarah Ban Breathnach, because remember how we went all through the house and we talked about each room, and we also, even this year when we did The Joy of Less, Francine Jay's book, we talked about how when you make your surroundings extra special, and even that was the most recent Cheryl Richardson Extreme Self-Care Challenge too, was to create that soul-loving space, right? But when you do that, then it reverberates out, and it does affect your day. So if you're in a space, like say you come home and everything's chaotic and you hate how it's decorated and it's loud and smells and like everything about it is horrible, then that's gonna definitely affect your life, right? So if you can, hopefully you can choose some things about where you live, and if you can customize it as much as you can to your liking and to your comforts, then that's even better, right? We talked about feng shui last year. We talked about when we talked about the sense of joy, harmony, beauty, order, simplicity, and gratitude. Which one was it that we talked about? Just might have been beauty, I don't know. We talked about the senses. That must have been when we talked about it, because I'm thinking of how Sarah was telling us to try to even think about the fabrics that we're using, like on blankets and maybe your pajamas, silk sheets and things like that. So things that you even touch and feel. And maybe it's like essential oils or incense or candles that you like to have, or just like the smell of food in a crock pot or something like that. So all of those things can lend to your life, right? So the reason that I'm bringing that up is, and the reason that I really thought of it, is because Cheryl in this chapter is visiting Louise in her beautiful home that she had in San Diego. And as you can imagine, if you know anything about Louise Hay and you've seen her or heard her speak or anything, she has her home catered to the max. In fact, to the point of, Cheryl talks about she walked in the front door and there's monks humming or chanting or something like that in the entryway. And she said, do you always have that going, or is that something that you just did for me? And Louise said, no, it's always going. So she just wants to walk into the house and have that serene feeling of being maybe in a monastery. And Cheryl describes beautiful views out the windows and all these little seating areas. And she comments on those to Louise, who says that she wants to have a comfortable place no matter where she is. Even in her assistant's office, she has like a really comfortable chair for herself in that office. She's got like a what do you call it, like a chaise lounge, yeah, in her bedroom. She has a window seat in there. She said she does different things in various chairs too. It's almost like oh, this is the chair that I sit and look out at the garden, and this is where I think, and this is where I write. And so maybe if that's important to you as well, and maybe in our normal life we only have one place that we can put a seat, I hope that you think about that, and that you're catering each little thing. Like, what about the way that even like your door opens? What if it has a creak or a squeak or something, or it's like hitting a nail on the ground or something? What about those small little things that you could fix that would just make it so nice to open the door? I know for me, I should do a video with my mantle in the background again. I haven't done one with it showing in the background in a while. But I have these lights that are on a timer. They're little candles, and they look totally realistic too. Oh, in fact, I could put one on right here. In this light, you can't tell how realistic it looks, but I bought these online, and they have a timer in them. So you can set it up so that they go on every day at the same time. So I set it up so that when I come home at night, they're on. So it's such a nice feeling to come home and have that cozy feeling of lights on the mantle. And they're on the same batteries. They have those flat batteries, It's, I don't know, a couple months in, and they're on for 5 hours every night. So the batteries last a really long time. But it could be something like that. It could be something on a timer, like just a warm, comfortable light or something that you come home to. Or maybe a nice friendly kitty that you come home to. I definitely have one, and she's frisky tonight. She's playing around underneath me. So Cheryl's talking about her experience. I mean, Cheryl even notices that everything, even in the guest room, is so luxurious just for the guests as well. So Louise has thought of everything. And Cheryl is telling Louise, remember what we talked about in the last video about this book, where Louise encouraged us to even be thinking positive things, even when you're taking a shower in the morning, brushing your teeth, talking to yourself in the mirror in a positive way. Cheryl shares how she's implemented some things. And she also shares the perspective that when she realized what Louise was doing and then went home and tried to make those changes in her own life, she realized how negative she was thinking. So for instance, she says she was in the shower, and all of a sudden she'd start to just like go, oh, I have to email this person, and then I have this meeting coming up, and there's going to be this difficult conversation later. And so it was like she hadn't even been up for half an hour, and she already was sort of going through the to-do list and the worries in her head. So when she consciously decided that she was going to implement Louise's technique of really getting yourself off to a positive start, then she stopped herself from having those thoughts and really just tried to keep the good momentum going of the positive thinking from the very beginning of the day. So she says, clearly I had work to do, and that's when she was talking about how she did it. So the beauty of awareness is what interrupts a pattern. So she didn't even really know that she had that pattern of thinking negative things in the shower about her day. So she became aware of it, and she decided to break the pattern. And then in the shower, she started to implement some of the things that Louise had said, like, oh, thank you, body, and you're so beautiful, and things like that. So stuff we talked about last time. Bringing attention to our inner conversations, the things we say to ourselves every single day, is a way of becoming present to the truth. And the truth might be, you're pretty mean to yourself. Or you're pretty stressed out. Or you might be angry. You might just be exhausted. I mean, you have to just sort of listen. And we did talk about that last year as well, because you can get so busy that you just don't even pay attention to what you're thinking. The messages we give ourselves day in and day out deepen a groove in the mind, giving them more power, right? And they also transmit energy out into the world, drawing back to us the very things that we focus on. So remember in the affirmation video where I was explaining that If you're focused on something, whether it's good or bad, it's like, you want some of that? Here it is. And then if you say you don't want something, it comes as well. So whatever you have your focus on tends to be attracted to you. That's the law of attraction. So once I saw, this is Cheryl speaking again, once I saw how pervasive and entrenched these thought habits were, I went about the business of shifting them. I started affirming the changes I wanted to make with a focus on self-love and acceptance. I began writing, speaking, and pasting affirmations around my home. And I remember saying that to you guys too when I shared my own affirmation deck last year, that one good place to put an affirmation is right, you can see it, I have a light switch here, but like right by a light switch that you turn on and off a lot. Or maybe it's like above your stove where you're cooking and you see it every day. After using many of the affirmations Louise and I had discussed during our last conversation, I noticed changes within just a couple of weeks. What do you think? Do you think that would happen in your life? These new thoughts were trading places with the old ones, and my mornings were becoming more peaceful and enjoyable. I was programming a far better start to my day, and it felt good, really good. So are you working on your mornings? Are you having any results yet? So as she's telling Louise about her progress, Louise says, this is good. You're starting to pay attention. We need to become aware of what we habitually say to ourselves during the day. It's important to start listening. If you notice you say something more than 3 times, you're probably saying it a lot. That made me think, because she goes on to say, for some people, it's, oh shit. It could be a very repetitive theme. So I started to think, I want to be aware if there is something that I'm saying a lot, more than 3 times. If people get a hold of their day, they can get a hold of their life. Okay, so let's talk about how to create the day. This is what this book is about, right? Creating an exceptional life. So Louise says, you can start to pay attention to how you leave your house. You could have an affirmation right by your door. That's true. What do you think or say as you open the door and go out? What do you say as you close the door? What do you say to yourself as you walk down the stairs or when you get in the car? Are you approaching your day with excitement and enthusiasm or worry and stress? If I think about that, I'm usually thinking about, oh, I hope I'm not late to work, or things like that, or oh, did I have my keys? Did I remember my lunch? I'm usually just, there's probably a lot of worries. I can't say that as I'm walking in my car, I'm thinking, today's gonna be a great day, like she said we should do. But it is all about awareness, like she said. As you leave your home, it's a great time to plan your day, to program what you want to have happen rather than leave it up to chance. I think about my routines, and this is Cheryl again. I think about my routines and how I'm certainly not accustomed to programming my day. Instead, I typically walk out the front door and down the steps towards the garage, focused on whether or not I've turned things off and put away anything my cat might get into. It's the same sort of things that go through my head as far as just the busyness of the morning. Like, oh, did I remember my drink and things like that. So Louise starts to talk about, let's talk about driving to work as an example. So you can even set the stage for that. So you could say things like, my ride is easy and effortless. My drive goes smoothly and more quickly than I expected. I feel comfortable in the car. I know this is a beautiful drive to the office or school or store or whatever you're doing. I bless my car with love. I send love to every person on the road. Yeah, I remember in one of Louise's recordings, it said something like, your automobile does not break down when you are in good thoughts. But it can break down and have a lot of problems if you're constantly not giving it love and you're stressed out, and that's her thinking, is that you can even affect the electronic and mechanical things around you if it's a negative way. What a way to travel. And Cheryl says, as I listen to Louise's driving affirmations, I think about the idea of sending love to every person on the road. Imagine if everyone did that. What a world we would have. Just imagine a world where every driver did that. That's what Cheryl says. While it might seem like a crazy idea, I can't help but be inspired by a vision of the future, a world where every human being understands their own spiritual nature and therefore uses the creative power of their mind to fill the world with good intentions. And to bring up Abraham Hicks again, sometimes Abraham says that at some point we may, as a race, a human race, get to the point where there might be de-manifestation classes, because we might get so good at doing these things that everything just shows up, and then we might be like, wait a minute, that's not what I wanted, or there's too much of this. Imagine that. If everybody got to the point where they were just living a wonderful life and had everything they wanted. Yeah. Since thought influences reality, just think about how the planet could change too. Maybe the vision isn't so far-fetched after all, Cheryl says. The recognition of what we put out into the world matters, that our energy has influence and holds possibility. This means that blessing our children and all the kids at school when we drop them off has consequences. Sending love to the postal worker, the grocery clerk, it has consequences. Intending to have a great day with your colleagues at work has consequences. Each of these simple personal actions holds the promise of making the world a better place by focusing our energy in the right direction. Also, even if you don't send the cashier love, but you're just in a positive frame of mind, first of all, if they're not in a positive frame of mind, you might brighten their day, or you might not even notice that they're not in a positive frame of mind. Or if you're in a frame of mind, you might have attracted a very positive cashier who's in a nice frame of mind. I had a lovely cashier at the grocery store recently, and I went to the manager and I said, I just wanted to let you know, the lady on aisle, whatever I was in, I said, she's fabulous, she's doing a great job. And the manager was so grateful for that. So, and I hope they recognized her. But so I was in a good mood, she was wonderful. I went to the manager and gave her praise, and the manager was happy, and then hopefully the employee was happy. Like, see all these ripple effects of things? Yeah, so it can definitely affect things. And did I just notice that she was wonderful because I just noticed it, or was I had I pre-paved my way to that good experience? Again, we don't know the answers to these things. It's like trying to answer the mysteries of life that we don't know the answers to. There are so many opportunities to flood your mind with good thoughts throughout the day. That's Louise saying that. And it can be so simple. And you go about your day, smile, and say things to yourself like, I love my life. I love this day. Life loves me. I love it when the sun shines. It is wonderful to feel the love in my heart. Everything I do brings me joy. Imagine if you were saying that. And I think, again, and I know as well as anybody who's suffered with depression, that saying that you love your life and you love this day and life loves me, like when you're going through something very difficult emotionally, or you're just in a place of despair or hopelessness, that is difficult. And I don't think that if you're in that place, that hearing those words even has a positive effect. It just almost makes you want to be like, I don't love my life. I don't love this day. Life doesn't love me. It can make you more depressed maybe. So you have to be ready for this. Yeah. But if you are, then these thoughts will create a whole new experience for you. And who knows? I'm saying that from my own experience, but say even in a worse place of just a horrible place of depression, somebody every day made a conscious effort to just try to say these things and emulate them, even if they didn't believe them, then Louise told us in that other chapter that it would still matter and still change things. And so I will share next time some of their affirmations throughout the day. I just wanted to get to the rest of this, and then I'm abbreviating this chapter. And again, Cheryl is commenting on all of Louise's beautiful furnishings and the way she has her house set up. And she says, it's clear that Louise set things up in her life with intention and attention to detail. And Cheryl shares, for years, I learned to tolerate my environment either because I felt I couldn't afford to change it or because I was so exhausted and overwhelmed that I didn't have the energy to do anything about it. Earlier in my training as a coach, my first mentor emphasized the importance of living and working in an environment that fueled me. Yes, didn't we call it? We called it a soul-nourishing space that we were creating. That's when I started to take the idea seriously. I eliminated clutter, I kept my home and office clean and organized, and I got rid of anything that I didn't love or need. That's just like the Francine J book. Although she's not saying she was a minimalist, but she just tried to keep only things that she loved and needed around. So seeing Louise's attention to detail and making sure every view is pleasant, whether from her desk or a kitchen table, for instance, brings this idea to another level, for sure, right? Sometimes all it takes is a small change to send a big message to yourself and others. I love you and I care about what you need. So maybe think about your surroundings. You could go and sit in a chair and think, like, what do I like that I see from this? Or could I move it so that I can see my bird feeders better? Or so that there's better light? Or can I change the light bulbs? Or maybe add some color to the wall with some paint, or get new furnishings, or just a throw blanket. Yeah. All right, and I'm going to leave the mirror work for another video because we've talked a little bit about that, but Louise goes into it in great detail. So basically, she takes her on a tour of the upstairs, and affirmations are around her desk, and there's even a makeup. Oh, this is, yeah, I'm going to wait till I say there's a mirror on her desk, and that's how she leads into the discussion about mirror work. So we'll talk about that again because that's really Louise's specialty. But you can start to see from this chapter that we're really talking about your surroundings, we're talking about your attitude, we're talking about evaluating and having awareness of the things that you're saying in your head or you're thinking to yourself, even from the moment that you wake up, and how changing that can make all the difference. And even being aware of it is the first step. So if I were to give you an assignment from this chapter, it would be maybe start journaling, or at least start taking note on the thoughts that you're having, even from first thing in the morning. And then secondly, really assessing your surroundings and seeing, does this bring me joy? Is there clutter? Is there color? Is there warmth? And things that you want to experience when you're in your home, and your work office too, if you can affect that. Thanks for watching. Please say hello. I love to hear from you guys. Hope you're all doing well, and we will continue our discussion on our new book. And remember that you are a harmonious being. Thanks, guys. Have a nice night. Bye-bye.